Hey, welcome to the Go To Physio Podcast, episode 73. And this episode is all about how to install packages of care without feeling salesy. And I'll be honest, this is something I've struggled with early in my career when I started to implement this stuff. I made a lot of mistakes, both in how we done it and how I communicated it to the staff. I had pushback from a lot of staff members. I've had some staff are really good at it, some staff struggled with it. And that's what we want to do in this episode, is demystify all of that for you, because I know it's a very funny issue for clinicians, and we want to be ethical and all of that, but actually there is no denying that if you install packages of care, it's going to massively improve your efficiency within the business. And that's what I want to do in today's episode, is show you how to do that without feeling like there's that internal block or having resistance and making the same mistakes that I certainly made when I started out. So packages of care, what are they? Okay, again, plans of care, treatment plan packages seem to be more common in chiropractic. Chiropractors seem to do it a lot better than us as clinicians. In terms of why wouldn't we want to do it, I think a lot of clinicians struggle saying, I don't want to bring the patient back for 10 sessions. And I think when we think of packages, in a bad way, we almost see it as the patient's coming in for 10 sessions, they're getting the same thing where they come in, they jump on the bed, they get the same treatment technique every session, and then that's it, okay? We do it differently in the Go To Therapist Mentorship and the Go To Clinic Mentorship. And I want to share that with you today, and how to do it what I believe is the right way, but most importantly, putting the patient value outcomes at the center of everything you do. And I've spoke about this a lot in the last couple of episodes, that actually when you extract how the patient defines value, there's actually a lot there to be done with the patient. And then you start to realize, and the mind shift happens, actually this patient is going to need a few sessions. So what we want to do then essentially is have a way that if a patient wants to pay up front, that they'd be rewarded for that, okay? And packages happen in all walks of life. And again, you can use a tin of beans. You go into any shop, you could buy a tin of beans, 1 pack. And then you want to buy the same tin of beans, but in a 4-pack, or a can of Coke versus a 4-pack of Coke. Clinically, if you buy them in bulk, it's going to be cheaper, okay? And this happens in all walks of life, but for some reason as clinic owners, we sometimes have mental blocks with it, okay? So I think that's the first thing to address, is that actually bulk buying, it happens in all industries, in all walks of life, okay? And that gives you a hint really into how these packages should be positioned, is just a simple way of saving money for patients. And if you do that, and I'll get onto the admin and how to position it shortly, but if you do that, then very, very often these packages of care are easy to implement. What I've really struggled with in the early days was relying on scripts, sales scripts, okay? The admin team felt uncomfortable, the therapist felt uncomfortable, and it was an absolute car crash. It eroded our culture a little bit, and as I said, patients left as well, and it felt a little bit salesy. If you want your staff to do this, and you want them to do it naturally, and you want it to be sustainable, and you want them to do it when you take 2 weeks off for a holiday, okay, then you need to do it in a way that feels natural. And that's what we want to share here with you, okay? So patient value outcomes needs to be the front of everything we do, okay? So this concept of patient value outcomes is really, it's about aligning the treatment plan and the goals with what the patient values and perceives as important to them. And if we cannot do that, then it's going to be, number one, it's going to be very hard to sell packages of care, but also, number two, it's going to be very hard to understand what package the patient needs. So from a clinician point of view, all we need our clinicians to do is to be able to essentially extract how the patient defines value and what they're looking to be able to achieve, what they need to do, what they want to be able to do. Then we need the clinician to be able to understand exactly how long that's going to take realistically and what's the problem. And then we need to be able to set expectations for the patient and tell them very clearly, this is the problem, this is why it happened, here's the plan, here's how many sessions it's going to take. So if we cannot do that as clinicians, and if your clinicians can't do that, then putting in packages of care is going to be very, very difficult. Okay, so that's the first step, is you need to understand how the patient defines value, what they're looking to achieve, what the problem is that's stopping them from having that value, what's the plan, how many sessions is it going to take? And if you can't do that, then you've got bigger problems to solve. Okay, and that's the honest truth of it. Okay, the selling of the package happens in the treatment room. And the selling of the package happens in stage 1 of the Go To Clinic customer journey, which is where the patient buys into the treatment plan. And if the patient doesn't buy into the treatment plan, then they're not going to go on to a package of care. And in the same breath, I want to say that just because a patient buys into a treatment plan doesn't mean they're going to go into a package of care either, because they may not have the financial means. But if the patient has the financial means to pay for a package and they buy into the treatment plan and it's going to save them money, then logically, it's why aren't they going onto a package? Okay, now there could be one other thing that's happening with the admin, which we'll get to that on the other end of this episode. But ultimately, if your therapist cannot do that, then we've got bigger problems. And again, going back through the previous episodes in this season in particular, I've covered a lot and I've talked a lot about patient-defined value outcomes, the 6 stages of the patient journey, and then how to improve your initial assessment rebook rate, how to improve your package of care conversions. We've also looked at that from a clinician point of view. So I'd really encourage you to go back and watch or listen to some of those episodes also. So the key thing that we need here from a clinician point of view is we need to empower the patient to co-create their care plan. The patient needs to feel like they're designing the treatment plan because the patient needs to design the treatment plan. I've talked a lot about this in the previous episode. When I moved house, I wanted particular cabinets to be made. Joiner comes out, this is what I'm looking for, this is how we want them to be. No problem at all. This is how much it's going to be, this is how long it's going to take, this is when I can do it. Okay, you get a painter to come out, you get a plumber to come out, you get anybody, any service industry, this is what I want, okay, here's the cost. Here's how long it's going to take. Okay, so it's the exact same thing here. The patient needs to tell you what they want to achieve. Okay, and if they feel like they're designing the treatment plan, then it's their treatment plan, because it is their treatment plan. Okay, again, this stuff isn't complicated, I promise you. Okay, do not overthink this stuff. So we need the patient to design the actual treatment plan by defining how they do their outcomes, and then they immediately hold us as therapists accountable. They hold the patient-defined value outcomes, hold us accountable to the patient, because now they've said, this is what I want, so now our treatment needs to go and deliver that. So we're accountable to them. We're accountable to ourselves to make sure that actually our treatment is aligned with the defined outcomes and it's working. And then also to the clinic that we actually deliver these things for the patient. So we need a high-will therapist that's willing to do that. And that's where understanding the patient-defined value outcomes and the storyboard, or we call it the V in the mentorship, is an extremely powerful tool to get patient buy-in, because now the patient can see the value and they understand exactly what they're buying, and they can see how long it's going to take, and they know that there's a plan in place. And if we have that leaving, the patient then visually is very, very clear also on what's going to happen. So these are all of the key things that we need in place. So when we get the patient then to leave after the first session and we hand them over to the admin, there's a greater chance that the patient is going to say yes. But if you have a strong admin person out in the front desk and they're very good at sales and they're charming and all of this, and if they gift to the gab, it's all well and good. But if this stuff didn't happen in the treatment room, then the patient, why would they buy into a treatment plan if they've no confidence that the therapist actually understands them and they can deliver what they define as value? Okay, so that's the first thing that needs to happen. The second thing then, let's assume we've got that, is we need to feel difference in the first session. The patient needs to feel progress in the first session. Why is that important for packages? Because it gives them confidence that I'm actually going to get the results. The big objections you're going to run into with a patient is money, time, and trust of you as a therapist, and then also self-trust for them. Is this going to be worth my time and money and effort? Do I trust you to deliver this for me? And that's what the patient-defined value outcomes and the V in the patient storyboard does, is it maps it all out in the milestones along the way, chunking it down into these small steps. The patient is going to trust the therapist with a plan far more than the therapist just going session to session. Okay, or said another way, a therapist that just says, this is going to take 10 sessions, versus a go-to therapist who goes, okay, I've listened to you. This is what you told me you want to do. I'm mapping it all out for you. Session 1 and 2, we're going to hit these. Session 3, we're going to hit this. Session 4, we'll hit that. Session 5, we'll hit that. And by session 6, you should be back running. Realistically, I think it's going to take about 6 sessions. Is that what you're expecting? Okay, and then we overcome that objection if it wasn't what they were expecting. Okay, so we have the tools in the therapist mentorship to help patients see that very, very easily. But most importantly is it feels very comfortable for the clinician, because they're essentially just getting what the patient said they want, and we're just mapping it out. The patient designs the treatment plan in the subjective assessment in the Go To Therapist mentorship. Okay, it doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. All we are doing then is mapping it out for them and telling them realistically, this is what you asked for, this is how long it's going to take. Okay, so not many clinicians are going to feel uncomfortable doing that. Patient's going to trust us, but most importantly then there's going to be self-trust in the patient to actually achieve this. Because mapping it out and bringing it down into bite-sized chunks, that helps the patient make it feel more realistic and make it feel more achievable. Rather than just going from 0 to 100, they can see that there's stepping stones to help them along the way. So once we've done all of that, then guess what we do? We start attacking the first patient-defined value outcome. We start achieving that in the first session. So our treatment plan then is aligned to how they define value. We get that nailed on, the patient feels progress. We give them a couple of exercises to do between the first session and the second session. And then guess what we do the last 5 minutes? Here's where we're at, here's where we're going to go in the next session. So it's not about just having 10 sessions and it's the same thing every session. Every single session has a plan. In this session, we're doing this, and then the next session after that, we're going to be hitting that. And of course, things can go faster and slower, okay, depending on the person and circumstances. I get that, okay? But we have a clear plan. And once you have a clear plan, the level of clarity then for you as a clinician and your confidence in how you're saying it, and then the trust of the patient in you and the self-trust in themselves, all takes care of itself, okay? So then we walk the patient out. We hand them over to the admin, like any good, mannerly, respectable business would do. Hey, Ava, this is John. I've just told John that it's going to take 6 sessions. John, Ava can go through the different payment plans. She can also show you how to save some money if you want to do that. Okay, I'll leave you in the capable hands of Ava. Ava, can you book John in for me for next week again, John, so that we can get you progressing on to the next milestone, whatever that was. And that's as simple as it needs to be, the script. Okay, if you even want to call that a script. It's just common courtesy. Tell Ava how many sessions you think it's going to take, so then she knows which thing to show him. Ava then goes, no problem, I'll get that booked in for you, John. So as Dave said, you can either pay as you go, which is X amount, or if you want to save some money, we have these packages here. A quick visual aid showing the different packages, prices, how much they're going to save, and then just give the patient time to actually process the information. And be comfortable just as the admin then, just sitting there and just let the patient think and make a decision. But as I said, the litmus test, ideally, if we did a really good job in the treatment room, then it's fine. And the beauty of this is then also is it doesn't necessarily matter if the patient doesn't buy in to the package of care, because what we've done in the initial assessment anyway is we've mapped out the roadmap. So once the patient has a clear next step, if they don't purchase a package, then that's fine. We just keep them progressing every session. But you're always going to have that extra bit of energy needed in the next session, okay? And out of all your patients, if 50% of them go into packages, realistically, you've reduced your chances of a cancel that did not rebook or a did not attend by 50%, okay? Because I can pretty much guarantee you all of the patients who cancelled and did not rebook and did not attend, I would say 99.9% of those patients are not on packages of care, okay? So there's a lot more then that the admin have to do to get those patients back on track and etc. And then obviously for the therapist then also in the next session, they have to be very, very clear. Whereas if the patient has bought in the first session, they've got the money out of the way, then it just gets all of that crap out of the way. And it just allows us then to get results for the patient. Okay, so there's a lot of efficiencies that packages come with. Okay, but again, the key takeaway here is it all happens in the initial assessment. Okay, it all happens in the treatment room. The last piece of the puzzle then, the admin team just has to position it as if you want to save some money, because that's exactly what it is. And guess what? It's not a lie. Okay, you will save some money if you buy in bulk. Just like you want a can of Coke, or you want a 6-pack, or you want a can of beer versus a 6-pack of beer, a bottle of beer, whatever it is. Okay, so again, we do not have to overthink this. This stuff can be done without sales scripts, without any of that crap. Okay, because I promise you, your staff will feel uncomfortable, you'll feel uncomfortable, and the patient's going to pick up on it. Like, let's be honest here. If it looks salesy and it sounds salesy, it probably is salesy. Okay, whereas if it's natural, then there's no problem. Okay, so they're the key things. So if you want to install these, then I just challenge you to protect your mindset. Okay, because again, you've got all these, we talked about this in the last podcast as well. These clinicians, I don't need 6 sessions, I'll fix somebody in 2 sessions. Yeah, but have you actually extracted how the patient defines value? Have you actually extracted what they need to be able to do, what they want to be able to do, and the reason they've come in the first place? And have you mapped that out for the patient? And have you got undeniable proof that they've actually achieved all of these things? Because when you do that in the subjective assessment, it actually takes a little bit more than 2 sessions for the vast, vast majority of patients. And the thing stopping you there is ego. Okay? And that's the problem with a lot of clinics now, where actually they want to do it, but they feel like they're scrutinized by some ego-driven online guru. The reality of the situation is packages massively benefit the efficiency of the business. Your admin staff can do other things then, rather than constantly ringing cancel, did not read books, because you've reduced the amount of potential ones to 50%. And I guarantee if you look at it, all of your cancelled did not read books are on a package, or aren't on a package. Okay, because if a patient has already paid for the sessions, guess what they're not going to do? Not turn up. And it's very hard to charge a patient if they don't turn up anyway. Let's be honest about it. Let's not bullshit here. It's very, very difficult to do that without risking the patient getting unhappy and not coming back again. Whereas if they're on a package, it's a lot more easy to enforce that. Okay, but guess what? 99% of the patients will turn up anyway. They'll ring and let you know, or they'll cancel it and rebook it, not cancel and not rebook. Okay, so key takeaways from this episode: this has to feel comfortable. It has to, 99% of what happens has to happen well in the treatment room. And then the last piece of the puzzle, it doesn't matter how good your admin are. Okay, if it's not happening in the treatment room, it's just going to feel salesy out on the desk. And that's actually probably the worst scenario. We've got a really strong, pushy salesperson in admin, and you've got a really weak clinician that actually can't map out a treatment plan in the treatment room. That is a recipe for disaster. Okay. If you want some help installing this, the Go To Therapist mentorship will show you clinically how to do it naturally for your clinicians. And then also we've got the Go To Clinic ethical sales system that we use in terms of how we do it in our clinic. We just teach you exactly how we do it. Okay. And again, as I said, it's pretty much how we've done it there. We just got the visuals, the systems, the processes, all of those things for you as well if you want to install that. Okay, so if you're interested in the Go To Therapist mentorship or the Go To Clinic mentorship, whether you're a solo clinic owner or multi-therapist, just click get in touch, fill in an application. I need to know your vision, where you want to get to, and then I'll be able to tell, number one, if I can help you and if we're the right people to do that for you, and then number two, which is the best program for you. Or if you don't want the business side of it, you just want your therapist trained up, we also have our Train My Clinician pathway. Okay, so that's it for this week. Thanks as always for listening. If you aren't doing packages, okay, then I would seriously consider it, okay, because they will improve the efficiency of the business. There's a lot of benefits to them. But the key thing with the package is it's not just a case of the patient coming in for 10 sessions and they're getting the same thing over and over. There's a start, there's an end point, and there's actual milestones along the way to tell us if the patient's on track, but also to hold us accountable to the patient as well. So you can do it properly if you want to. And if you want any help, as I said, reach out and I'll speak to you soon. Okay, that's it for me for this week. See you next time. Thanks for tuning in to this week's show. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, if you'd like a free copy of my Head Physio Systems 6-step checklist that I use to personally audit my own therapists to make sure that they can keep patients progressing even when the pain is eased, so that we can ethically increase our patient numbers, our revenues and referrals, head over to www.thegotophysio.com/checklist and I'll get that sent straight over to you. That's it for this week. I'll see you in next week's show.